guys? This is Mohit, and I just came back from seeing fucking Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm all over the place here. You know, I originally had a script, not a script, but a checklist of things I wanted to talk about, but it's just too much, so I think I'm just gonna free talk right now. First off, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mohit. Check out some of my other videos for an idea of kind of what I do on this channel. A lot of it is professional, personal development for introverts across the world, helping people rise up and kind of reach their full potential. But at the same time, I'm a full-on fucking nerd, so I'm gonna put out as many videos as I can. You know, as many videos as I can, reviewing, talking about, and just giving my thoughts on some of the biggest games, movies, TV shows out there that I watch that I'm interested in. If you guys have any recommendations for things I should check out, you know, I'm obviously open to suggestions, and I'm totally willing to cover that as well. One other disclaimer is that this is going to be spoiler filled, so I know the movie just came out. If you're coming across this video, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you know, feel free to come back after you've seen it. You know, once again, I wouldn't want to spoil some of the biggest moments in this movie for you, but I just feel like I can't talk about this without spoilers. Like, my mind is just like completely all over the place right now. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. You know, the biggest thing, this movie is just, I'm at a loss for words. I'm gonna try to keep this around 10 minutes if I can, you know, not too long like my X-Men video. This movie was exactly what I envisioned Tom Holland's Peter Parker to be when that deal was first signed between Marvel and Sony in 2015. You know, I grew up watching the Raimi movies. I love them. I even love the Andrew Garfield movies. A lot of people hate them. I love The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That does not discredit my opinion of films because it's still my opinion. You know, I love The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for very different reasons from what people would normally think about in a movie. And I think it's because I followed that movie since it was initially conceived, since they first started writing it, from the initial set photos of Electro. And when this deal was signed, I was so excited. I was pumped. I was like, holy shit, my favorite character, Spider-Man, is in the MCU now. This is huge. I grew up watching the MCU since the original Iron Man. Look, I loved Homecoming. I love Tom Holland so far in like Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War. I'm pretty sure those are the 4 movies he's been in so far. The biggest thing is I just felt like the movies never really touched on that kind of, that side of Peter that's supposed to be this larger than life scale superhero. But I never hated what they were doing with them because I felt like this had a purpose. Everything Marvel Studios does has a purpose. You forget, Sony just markets all this stuff. From what I understand, Marvel Studios makes this movie. Like, they write it, they make it. John Watts, he has full creative control. I had a feeling that they had a plan for Peter. They wanted him to take Iron Man's place as the movies went on. That was always my dream from the character, and it seemed like that was the case since they first introduced him in Civil War. There has to have been a purpose between him and Tony having a relationship throughout these movies, especially since the Russo brothers, while making Civil War, had already started conceiving Infinity War and Endgame. So I had a feeling like, okay, eventually the character of Spider-Man is meant to step up into the limelight, and that's what this movie did. This movie was literally a love letter to fans of the character who have watched Tom Holland Spider-Man grow through these movies since 2016. To see him become this like Iron Man-like character, and sure, they haven't fully went there yet, but that's the thing, is they're slowly building it out. They're not giving you instant gratification. It's all about character growth, and that's what I really loved about this movie. The action and set pieces were phenomenal. They were phenomenal. I was very surprised at the level of action that I was seeing, like, mostly because John Watts, who also directed Homecoming, Homecoming was a much smaller scale movie. It was a more coming of age tale, and so was this movie. But that was a much smaller story between just Spider-Man, the Vulture, and Tony Stark. And like, they clearly weren't going for scale in that movie. This movie went for scale. I mean, fuck, the final scene, well, if you wanted, before the post-credit scenes, the final scene in this movie with Spider-Man swinging through the city was, I just got Raimi vibes, like, right away. I was like, holy shit, they're doing this. Like, the score could have used some work. I don't know what to think of Michael, I think Giacchino, I don't know how you pronounce that, but I don't know what to think of him yet. I think his theme's definitely grown on me, but I don't know if it's like the final theme I would want for this Spider-Man. But it's getting there, because I noticed a few small beats from there that like reminded me of watching like the animated series or the Spectacular Spider-Man series or things like that. So the biggest thing is that, I feel like I say the biggest thing so many times, this movie just surprised the shit out of me in terms of action, in terms of set pieces, in terms of what this Spider-Man was capable of. Like, this dude was dodging drones. He took so much damage by the end. Like, this was the Spider-Man that I grew up with watching the Raimi movies, reading the Amazing Spider-Man comics, watching Spectacular Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Like, these were all of those Spider-Mans like combined into one. And the previous movies with Tom Holland, it definitely had certain elements of all these things, but this was the first time they all blended together. This was a fully fleshed character. It felt like these characters were people. Like, this could actually happen in real life. They weren't just dry people. Like, to see Peter like dealing with the death of Tony Stark and like going through this movie trying to find that father figure in Mysterio, and then feeling obviously getting betrayed later on. For everybody who knows who the hell Mysterio is, saw this coming. It was just so impactful because you've seen this character grow since 2016. It's been 3 years that we've seen this version of Spider-Man on screen. 4 appearances, 5 now if you count Far From Home. And it's just, that's why this movie was so impactful. So yeah, we got swinging scenes, we got amazing choreography. With the story, it was just phenomenal. Like, let me tell you the story. I know there was so many storylines going on. They had the love story between Peter and MJ. I thought was absolutely fantastic. This is, as someone that, like, I look back at like the high school years, and like this movie is like exactly how like high school relationships are are actually happening these days. Like, you look at, like, you know, we had a couple people in my theater kind of cringe with the Peter MJ kiss near the end, but like these were all older folk. Like, you look at young couples now, like specifically in high school, like, this stuff happens, and that's what was so cool about watching this, man. Like, screw all the people who think that MJ can't be black, or like, there's some really great videos out there for some of the YouTubers I follow that talk a little bit about the MJ situation. You know, just for those of you who don't think that MJ should be black, you know, take a look at these videos, try to understand a different perspective, because there's so much that Zendaya is, and the script writers and the director, they're doing right with this version of MJ that Kirsten Dunst in the Raimi trilogy did not. You guys need to understand where they're coming from a character perspective, and this movie nailed all of that. This is the best version of Peter MJ that I've seen on screen since like Spectacular Spider-Man. Couple dislikes. Let me just say, like, I will say that the Mysterio thing, like, I get it was impactful for like the general audience, but for us fans, I have to admit, it was kind of a, like, no, Mysterio was amazing as a character, like, and just the things that he did to Spider-Man, like those illusions were like ripped straight from a comic panel. Those are freaking awesome. To see Spider-Man use his spider sense like on full flight for the first time was freaking cool. The one thing that I kind of wish they did with the Mysterio character is just kind of, I know they changed it up already with like the Tony Stark disgruntled employee type situation, but we already saw that with Adrian Toomes in a sense. Like, he wasn't necessarily an employee, but like, it would have been nice to see this version of Mysterio kind of from a different psychological perspective. I feel like they could have done more there with an actor like Jake Gyllenhaal, who's played some like psychotic people in the past. Besides that, I did have an issue with a couple, like Dimitri specifically. Like, you know, he was a very shady looking guy, and I thought he was working for Mysterio. You know, like, I don't know if I missed something, but he just kind of disappeared near the end of the film. Like, he had no thing with the plot, and he's never really been a part of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I was like, where'd this guy come from? There were a couple things near the end that, of course, really surprised me. Obviously, the callbacks to the original Iron Man with that scientist guy, and then we had Black Sabbath, or no, not Black Sabbath. Pretty sure that was either AC/DC or Queen playing from the beginning of the first Iron Man while Peter was making the suit. I thought that was perfect symbolism, perfect imagery too. Like him using like the like, what's it called, holographic gauntlets and things like that to make the suits, and then Happy looking at him like, hey, this really does look like a younger Tony Stark. Like, this was just, like, again, a love letter to fans who have seen this grow up. Like, this was the perfect final chapter to the MCU because it gives you an idea of what to come, who's going to lead the forefront of the MCU. I was worried it was going to be Captain Marvel. We don't care about Captain Marvel. Like, she's had no real effect on audiences right now. Like, she just showed up out of nowhere at the last minute. Spider-Man has been a character that has grown so much in the past 3 years alone, and I'm just so excited to see what they do with him in the near future. So that was just incredible. And speaking of the future, though, that post-credit scene, first off, props to J.K. Simmons for coming back as J. Jonah Jameson, as a Raimi fan. Like, that was, my whole theater gasped. That was just truly incredible. I think my brother just messaged me right now. He's actually seen the movie an hour later than me, so by now he should be finishing that up. So I'll probably be wrapping this up pretty soon. The one thing is, like, the reveal of his identity was a little weird. Like, I don't know where we're gonna go. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Marvel has a really cool plan for Spider-Man, but I don't know if they're gonna go the Iron Man route and have him just be the public, like, figure of the MCU now, like Parker Industries, have that be a thing. I just feel like it's too early for that. At the same time, you know, I trust Marvel. They've done so much. Endgame was incredible. They've done so much in the past 10 years, you know, and I just don't see where they could go wrong, because they've managed to do everything that I've dreamt of with the Spider-Man character and made him relatable, made him feel like a mix of Spectacular Spider-Man, the Amazing Comics Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man movie Spider-Man, Raimi Spider-Man, all these people. It'll be interesting to see where the future of the MCU goes, knowing that Spider-Man's identity is now known to the public, because I don't see how you could take that back at this point. With that being said, those are pretty much my thoughts. I'm probably going to wrap it up right here. Like I said, I want to keep this short. I want to keep this concise. It's just a very short, like, literally just post-movie spoiler-filled thoughts. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around everything I just saw, and I definitely have to see it at least 2 or 3 more times. Like, this movie, I don't want to get there yet, but it may be either the best or my second best Spider-Man film. You know, Spider-Man 2 is still one of the best, and once again, it's going to take a couple watches, because I don't want to come to judgment, like, right now, right after seeing it. Like, what they did with the character, what they did with the story, what they did with the action was absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to see where they go with Tom Holland in the future, now that everybody knows his identity. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, watching this video, whether you're tuning in before seeing the movie. I mean, shame on you, you should have seen it first. If you're tuning in after the movie, you know, I hope you liked it. Go see it again. Like, this movie was just a love letter to Spider-Man fans, especially Tom Holland Spider-Man fans who have watched these movies, like, as they have come out, and seen Peter Parker grow on screen. If you guys like the content you see, if you think I should change anything, if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave some comments, leave some feedback, follow me on the socials. You know, let's interact, let's start talking. Let's get a discussion going. To have, like, insightful discussions, not hateful discussions, but insightful discussions about these movies it's just an absolute pleasure. You know, I love the MCU. I'm a huge fan, for those of you who don't know me. And if you're also interested in professional and personal development stuff, you know, check out some of my other videos. I have some of them linked at the end here. You know, there's a lot of value that I'm putting out there on my channel. I just very much hope that you guys join me. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I wish you a great day, night, wherever you are.